All right. So if you can hear me, where'd everybody go? Let's see. Can you hear me? Anybody? All right. Can you guys hear me? Unmute yourself, type in. Okay. All right, Goodell. All right. All right, so I'm going to continue. So anyway, again, it's all voluntary information about reporting to whatever credit bureau that the creditor wants to report to. The same thing when it comes with checking your credit as well. You know, they can check with one of the credit bureaus. They can check with all three credit bureaus. It's completely up to the creditor. So this is the main reason why you have different scores between the credit bureaus, is because not all the information is the same with all three credit bureaus as well. All right, so let's start talking about credit itself. All right, I mean, you guys already pretty much know me. You know, these are the people. This is John Omiser, which is the credit expert, one of the credit experts I trained under. This is Mike Citron, which is well known in the credit repair industry, and taught us about using the federal and state regulations for credit repair. So anyway, what we're going to do today is talk about some of the credit scoring components. I'm going to answer any questions that you may have concerning credit itself or credit scores or anything else, and then we'll take it from there. So the first part of your credit score, this is what we call the FICO credit score. All right, so there's a lot of, I get this question several times a week that, why is my credit score different on Credit Karma versus what this finance company pulled versus this other website? Is because there's different variations of credit scores. If you go to Credit Karma, that is your Vantage 3.0 credit score. That's not, and people say, oh, well, that credit score is not right. Well, yeah, it's right according to the Vantage 3.0 algorithm that calculates your credit score. All right, so it just has different percentages than the FICO credit score of how it's calculated. All right, so that's one of the main reasons that you have different credit scores. Now, you got to think of credit scores like Vantage as being, let's say, Apple, and then you think of FICO as being Microsoft. Now, Apple in the PC world owns about 10% of the market, and Microsoft owns about 90% of the market. Well, it's the same thing with Vantage and FICO. FICO is its own company, and Vantage is the three credit bureaus got together, created the Vantage score to compete against FICO, right? And with FICO, there's different versions of FICO, and just like you got Windows 98, then Windows, I don't know what, Windows 7 and Windows 8, and then Windows 10. It's the same thing with FICO. So approximately every 4 years, FICO comes out with a different consumer spending habits, and what's going on in the country. All right, so now we're at FICO 9, which pretty much no lender's using. FICO 8 is one of the more popular ones, but again, any lender can use whatever FICO version they want to. All right, so they can use an old FICO version, they can use a new FICO version, so that you're going to you'll see your scores different between the different FICO versions because they weigh in different things more heavily than others. All right, so which I'll answer all your questions at the end here if you have questions about scores or anything else. All right, so the main part, and this is the FICO we're talking about here, is 35% of your score is really paying your bills on time. So if you have a 30-day late, a 60-day late, 90-day late, because it goes in 30-day increments, or if you have a collection, this goes into that 35% field, okay? Now, 30% of your credit score, which is the second largest thing, is your credit card balances compared to your credit limit. Now, it does take into consideration installment loans, but they play very, very little than revolving debt does, right? And these are going to be credit cards that are revolving debts, right? So there's a difference between a credit card and a charge card. A charge card, being like American Express, well, most American Express, is that American Express says that you got to pay it off within 30 days, you know, so that's a charge card. A credit card is, well, you don't have to pay it off in 30 days. You can roll it over to the next month and they're going to charge you interest, but you know, it rolls over and you have a minimum payment, etc. So the higher your credit card balance compared to your credit limits, well, the lower your scores are. And this falls into the 30% mark here. All right, so that's the first thing you need to look at when you're looking at your credit scores is what's being reported from the credit card company on your credit report. And remember, this is not real time. It's not real time. This is, you know, they report like once a month, whatever day they choose, and that's what's gonna look on your credit report. So if you look at your credit report and it says the status being updated, when it was updated, then you can assume pretty much about the same day next month is when they're going to report again your next balance. All right, so 15% is the age of your credit file. So the longer you have an account open, this affects this percentage. So this is why I tell people, do not close credit cards, because if you close a credit card, here, let me put this on if you guys can see me. If you close a credit card, then you're still getting the history of that card, but that card's not getting any older on your credit because now it's closed. And so they're going to quit updating every month to the credit bureaus because it's a closed account unless you close it with a balance due and you're still making payments. But once it reaches zero balance, they're going to quit updating to the credit bureaus because there's no reason for them to. And so you're not getting any more history towards that account. All right, so it's going to look at each individual trade line, you know, which is account on your credit, all right, and give you credit for, you know, if you got one 10 years, one 15 years, etc. And then it's going to do an overall average as well. So when you get a new account added to your credit, it's going to lower your overall average. Because if you have, let's say, make it simple, a 10 year, and then you open a brand new one, right? So now you got 21, so 10, 10, and 1 divided by 3 is going to be 7 years. Imagine, but if you had a 10 and you didn't open, so you get that age of your account. Okay, like a credit card, that amount, the same amount of payments, you know, the same dollar amount of payments each year, each month. As at least one revolving. So, all right. And the last 10% is your inquiries. Inquiries are people checking a hard pull. These are hard pulls. When you go to a financial institution and you want to get for financing and they check your credit, this is called a hard inquiry. All right, so you got what they call soft inquiries as well. Soft inquiries is when you check your credit yourself. All right, there's some financial institution that can do a soft pull as well, you know, but majority of them do hard pulls. All right, so when you get an inquiry, somebody checks your credit, then that goes into that 10%, but it's going to show on your credit for 2 years, but only affect you for 1 year. All right, so, and then when it comes to auto, mortgages, and student loans, you can have your credit checked as many times as you want in one of those 3 categories in a 30-day period with only one counting against you. So so we get this a lot. A lot of people says, oh, well, I went to a dealership and they checked my credit 10 times. I'm like, and? They're like, oh, well, I got 10 inquiries on my credit and that's going to pull down my credit scores. Well, that's not true because only one of them is going to count against the person and not the other 9. All right. So, you know, a lot of people get tied up on inquiries. I hear it all the time. And that's one of the smallest fractions on your credit, you know, scores. You know, so worry about the 35 and the 30 before you start worrying about the 10. You know, I mean, if you're like in, you know, 750 and you're trying to get the 800s, then yeah, you know, you can start nitpicking. But you know, if you're in 600s or 500s, then you need to worry about the other 65, you know, percent before you start worrying about the smaller ones. All right, here's some fun facts about the FICO credit scores. All right, so closing my unused credit cards will improve my FICO score. Anybody want to answer that? True, false? Let's see if we can get a small field on here. Where's my chat? Okay, anybody? You can unpause it or, I mean, unmute yourself. All right. Anybody want to answer this? No? All right, I'll go through these. So closing my unused credit cards will improve my credit score. That is false. Because if you close your credit cards, right, now you got to remember that 30% mark. All right. So now it's going to look at each credit card that you have compared to the credit limit, the balance compared to the credit limit. Then it's going to use your overall as well. So just make it simple. Let's say you got 2 credit cards with $5,000 limit each. So now it's going to look at and say, okay, well, you got a total of $10,000 available credit. So if you got 1 credit card maxed out at $5,000, so you're 100% utilized, and now you have the other credit card at, let's say, 0. So you're 100% on one and 0 on the other. So then if you do the average, you're at 50%. Well, imagine if you close one of those credit cards, right? So you'll have one maxed out, one with nothing. You close one. Now you only got a $5,000 limit total, and you got a $5,000 balance. Well, now you're completely maxed out across the board. Instead of being at 50%, you're at 100%. So that's one reason that this is false. All right. Let's see. Go to the next one. Let's see if this, see, false. See, my FICO credit score should be the same at all 3 bureaus. Again, we just went over that, you know, is because it could be different of what's on the credit reports. You know, somebody could have checked one credit bureau and not the other 2. Some creditor could be reporting to 2 credit bureaus and not the 3rd one. So there could be, you know, it's all about the data that's on the credit report. All right. Next, when I get married, my credit report is merged with my spouse's. You know, believe it or not, I do get this question, and you know, and You know, have women call me and say, hey, you know, I'm looking at getting married to this guy, and you know, his credit's no good, and that's going to affect me. I'm like, no, that's not going to affect you. I mean, it affects you like his ability not to get on a loan with you, or his ability to not get financing himself, but it's not going to affect the other person themselves direct, you know, it's going to be indirectly, not directly. All right. So your credit is your credit. The other person's credit is their credit. It's only if you sign joint, do a joint account, you know, get a credit card in both of your names at the time you apply. So both of you sign. So it's never merged. Checking my own credit score will create an inquiry at the credit bureau and will lower my score. So again, this is false because it's called a South Pole. When you check your own credit, it's a South Pole and it does not count against you. It's the same thing with if you go to an insurance company. An insurance company, you know, for let's say auto or your home or whatever, they look at your credit as well and get a credit score which is totally different than FICO. It's, you know, for the industry of insurance. So that will not affect your credit score as well. It's only the hard inquiries from usually financial institutions that will affect, you know, be a hard inquiry and affect your credit scores. All right, so my annual household income is a part of the calculation of my FICO credit score. Again, false. They do not collect the data of how much money, or they don't display on there of how much money that you make. You know, so the credit bureaus do not know how much money that you make. So that part does not affect your credit score because they have no idea, right? So all they know is the categories that we went over earlier, right? You pay your bills on time, what your credit card balance is compared to your credit limit, how old are your accounts and your overall credit, do you have mixed credit, and your hard income. All right, so these are just some federal violations. This is like an old one that I was doing some demonstration on. I know it's kind of hard to see. But you can see here, 2002, then they had a 1, which this means you're on time, 30, you know, you're on time. Then you see a 2, this is 30 days late. And then they had, it was in, this means that it went to like a charge off or a defaulted account. So I went from 30 to defaulted, then back out of default until probably like 180 days or what, and then it goes back into default. So that's one of the violations. So we look at all the details that we can on the credit report, you know, to see if everything's exactly accurate. All right, so here we go. Report as a charge off, right? Then 180 days late, up until here, and then it's a charge off again. You know, you can't go from a charge off and then out of a charge off. You know, it doesn't work that way. You know, so this is a total of 27 violations because each one. So you went to a charge off, back. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we count every month as a violation. Yeah, I'm just going through some of these real quick to kind of give you an idea of what we do and, you know, and things to look for yourself. Say this is a charge account, you know, JCPenney, maximum delinquency 90 days occurred in 2006, estimated item will be removed. Again, it's going to be removed 7 years from the date it went into delinquency. If they open, they close, it's a revolving account, 120-day past due. But yeah, here they say maximum delinquency of 90+ days. So, but because they have the plus, it's good. So you'll notice that the day closed, which was 4/2002, right here. Okay. So the maximum delinquency 90+ days occurred right here, 06, 2006, right? And the payoff status reflects 120 days past due, which we see up here, but here it's saying 90 days. Right? So that's, you know, some of the things that we look at. And again, you know, I know I say FCRA, that stands for the Fair Credit Reporting Act. These are federal regulations that govern the credit bureaus, by the way, in case you didn't know. All right, so here we got HSBC, Best Buy. So just so you guys know that store department cards, you know, not all of them actually, like Best Buy, are not, or Best Buy is not let you borrow their money. They're using HSBC to, which is the credit card company, to that you owe the money to and giving you the credit to shop at Best Buy. All right, so they're just affiliated with Best Buy, letting you know. So you can look at this account. Do you see any violations right off the top of your head? All right, so let's go here. Balance, delinquency of $0. How can you be late of $0? Okay, how's a delinquency of $0? Right? You can't be delinquent of $0. Nothing is nothing. Delinquency after the close date. All right, so here they closed in 1999, but yet they have a delinquency after the close date as well. You know, so right here, maximum delinquency 120 plus days in 2004 of $0. Okay. All right. So the only case, there could be a case that, you know, they close the account. Let's say you had this credit card, but it had a balance, but you closed the account. All right, so which is possible. You can close it with a zero, well, I mean, with a balance, but you have to keep paying on the balance until it's zeroed out. That's going to stay closed. You just can't use it. And if you were late after you closed it, then that would be possible. You know, so that's the only way. But past it with zero, that doesn't make sense. All right, so TransUnion verified this item at the same time the errors were reported. So, you know, as possible re-aging. Re-aging means that the creditor went back and altered the dates, you know, in order to keep it on your credit longer. So they could have said, oh, well, you know, for example, it didn't default in, I don't know, let's say in year 2000, it defaulted in 2002. So the default date is when the 7-year mark starts. So if they changed it that you default in 2002 instead of 2000, well, then you got an extra 2 years it's going to stay on your credit. Oh, re-aging, which is illegal by the way. What happens? All right, here's another one. Sherman Acquisition. This is a collection company. Here. So let's look. Incorrect balance. Balance higher than the high balance. So you got the balance. You got the high balance. Well, can the high balance be lower than the balance? Because this is high balance is the highest your balance has ever been. Okay, so that's incorrect. Incorrect high balance lower. So it's vice versa. Back to two arguments. Well, this is incorrect. This is going to be higher, or as high in this case. And this one, the balance has to be, you know, so you argue it both ways. And it's an open account, you know, so which is possible because they could, you know, the collection company could have it open, you know, even though Best Buy closed. All right, and estimated date the item will be removed. So they said that it's going to be removed in 2011. Okay, right? And so that would be 7 years. So you got to get 7 years back, right, from this. Right, so we would look at the original and find out when it actually went in the default to see if this date is correct, because it's 7 years from that date. So possible re-aging as well. All right, here's the old TransUnion one. We're not going to get into that. This is some things that we deleted before. Same thing with that one. Same thing with that one. This results from, this is an old presentation from some years ago. So we got people's. All right, so this is what they call a HIPAA violation. All right, HIPAA is your health Privacy Act. Right. So so with medical coding, usually they change this into digits, and you can't see what was actually performed for the charges that they received. So, so if we ask from credit solution expert validation directly to the creditor from us, not from the client, and the power of attorney, and they send it back, and it shows what treatments that they had, well, that's a violation because the client did not sign a HIPAA release authorization form. We just asked them for a validation of that for the actual treatment. Will require the client to sign a release HIPAA authorization form in order to do so. This is a violation if it was sent to us. All right, same thing with this one. You can see the treatments that the person had. Right. All right, let's see. There you go. Look at this. What's included. All right, so let's open this up for any kind of questions you guys may have. I went through this pretty quickly. Let's see if I can get out of the screen. And open up the chat here. Give me 1 second. See if I can figure this out. Right here. All right. Let's see. All right. Any questions or anything else that you guys may have? You can unmute yourself. You can type in the chat box. Either way, however you want. Any questions whatsoever. It doesn't have to even pertain to this. It could pertain to, anything else. Pertain to any type of credit. Or you can raise your hand on your, if you're on your phone or whatever, you can raise your hand or anything else if you have any questions whatsoever. Let's see if anybody can see this. Any questions pertaining to credit scores, pertaining to what's on your credit report, pertaining to, we'll get into business credits at one time as well. So any questions now? Oh, I want to get into that. Any questions? No? Give one more chance. Okay. I call approximately 2 weeks from today. So if you have any suggestions of what you want us to discuss, we'd be more than happy to discuss anything pertaining to credits, personal, business, or anything else. All right. So last chance for questions. Anybody? Larissa? No questions? No? YouTube here.
Okay, well, that's what I got last time, 497.